Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Adam, Central Go, who's vanished it would seem, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Let's get it on.
Good evening.
Hey.
Hey. Good to have you all. We do have a video to cover. I think we're done and dusted with Duffy and Nathan Thompson. So we covered both of their introductions. In terms of their back and forth, I'm not going to cover it. Normally we're one and done with these videos. Doing a two-parter is enough for me, I'm afraid. Anybody else who feels the need to actually cover their interactions and discourse when they're let loose by the modern-day debate moderation team is up to you. Go and check it out. But as for us covering it anymore, I'm pretty content with what we've already done, so we'll be moving on to a different video today. I'll stick the title of it in once we get to it. Suggested by Central Go. He's just not here to talk to. He's vanished as soon as the live show started, which is wonderful, of course. Sod's law. Anyway, let's ask
a shill.
A shill, did you say?
Yeah, you gotta watch that Central Go. I think he's a shill.
Think he's a shill. There's a lot of nonsense ideas about people being shills. People are just people, right? They might be motivated because they think societally it might be more profitable to be a ball earther at the moment. I know that idea is being floated around amongst flatties. Now, this is a glorified appeal to motivation fallacy. Who gives a toss why some individuals have departed from the ball earth onto a flat earth, or vice versa, departed from a flat earth back onto the ball they once departed from? It doesn't matter. It's an appeal to motivation fallacy if you discuss it. What's the dealio in terms of the argument and the debate? Earth's measured flat. What's that? You believe in a ball? Earth's measured flat for your ball. That's the end of it. That's the end of the discussion. Oh, this person thought it was flat.
I guess you haven't heard about the mass exodus going on in flat Earth right now?
What, the half a dozen people that were mentioned by Will Duffy?
Yeah.
Not an
You should be
exodus.
concerned.
It's not an exodus. Right, what it's done, and I said this at the end of Duffy's Open 2 days ago, it highlights those individuals who are high-level individuals, if they get mentioned by Duffy to note the credibility of his expedition. Well, those individuals did not know it was flat. If they can find a route back to the ball. What do I mean by that? Being flat is a measurement of Earth that I can demonstrate, and further to that demonstration, I can take my opponent's belief in their ball reification, that's their religion of being on a ball, and show them how the measurements of Earth are flat for their ball. So that's just Earth being measured flat. Once you know that, there's no walking away from flat Earth. It's just, you know how Earth is measured. Knowing how Earth is measured doesn't mean that you can suddenly say, well, I know Earth's measured flat, but it could be a really big ball. You can't make that statement if you know it's measured flat. Now, you can make the statement, I believe it's a ball after all, because I observed the sun above a horizontal plane of reference measured with respect to it for a 24-hour period, just as one example. Now, if you're able to say that statement, you don't know the prior statement I used in my hypothetical example, in identifying the flat plane of reference used when measuring the sun down by antipodal assumption in Antarctica. It just means that you don't understand the flaws in the logic of assuming you're down in Antarctica by antipodal assumption, and you don't understand the measurements of Earth that are made when in Antarctica on a plane. Those are the prerequisites for measuring Earth. Flat, as always. You can't walk away from that. So, to conclude, what does it show when people, by appeal to motivation fallacy, if we're to discuss it, walk away from the subject of flat Earth? They didn't know in the first place. They never knew it was flat. So, goodbye. What use are you to me? If you want to bundle us together in some round table of discussions with seeming flat earthers by title only, yeah, there's the people who know it's flat, they're never going to walk away. They can't walk away. I'm one of them. And there's the people who believed it was flat. They can walk away quite easily. It's just not me or anybody here for the most part. I hear on the grapevine Mark Sargent's going to have a round table discussion on flat Earth on Friday, tomorrow. So after tomorrow's show, I'll drop Mark a line and see how he's going to format that particular meeting and how I can join as one of the members of the 5 families to lay down how the Tatalias feel about this.
You are the main family, not one of the 5. We are the Corleones.
Yeah, well, we'll find out how the Tatalias are going to deal with this. In any event, right, there's been a meeting that's been called by Mark Sargent, and good on him for doing so. I've already been in touch back and forth. Maybe that's why he was touching base a couple of days ago, softening me up for coming to his round table discussion, which as soon as I heard about, I was extremely keen to toddle along and join in on. I think it's a very good idea. More power to you, Mark Sargent. Hopefully it goes well. I'll be there if I can.
Who's going to be there? Do you know?
There's going to be Captain America, Hulk, I think maybe
Thor?
Spider-Man. We'll see who turns up.
Well, just remember, you move in there and you carry yourself as a Corleone.
I'm an Oakley and very proud of it.
Yeah. But you represent in flat Earth. We're represented by who we are. Now, these other families, they decided to drop and leave because they don't know Earth is flat. But we know Earth is flat. We got that confidence. So you're going as a confident Corleone Oakley.
Okay, Neil, I'll do that.
And hopefully, I know you're going to be laying it down for them. Something will click. And maybe they will start to comprehend it.
According to the promo, Weiss is going to be there. Dawn Griffin, I don't know who that is. Rick Hummer. Alex Michael, other conspiracy music hero. Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. Karen B. Artie Leeds.
Oh boy, you got the witch there.
Ellie Lewis.
She may be putting spells on you.
7 Club. I have no idea who any of these people are. Founded Earth Brothers. Allegedly Dave. I don't know. And more. Wow.
Well, you got a fellow Brit there with you, Nathan.
Who, Dave?
Yeah, is it allegedly Dave, the English fellow?
Yeah, Black Dave.
Well, I think that's
Your
part
cousin?
of the premise, Nathan. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's old school people that he's inviting, I think. Is part of it.
You what?
Part of the invite or his promo is old school people. So it's all back from 2015.
OGs.
OG, yeah. That's part of the gig.
Okay. I don't know if he sent me an invite. If he's made his list and he hasn't invited me already, maybe I'm not welcome. In spite of being about as OG as it gets. Let's have a little look, see if Mark's contacted me already. I would assume so.
Maybe Bob put a word in from the grave.
Muscle your way in
You're a
there.
troublemaker.
Take your seat at the table.
Who promised me?
Okay, well, his last communication with me, I was suggesting that I had a little offline chat with him That was my last communication. And he was like, yes, we must do that. So maybe his assumption is that I don't want to be chatting online about this stuff. So, or I've just not had an invite because he knows how.
Yeah, but Nathan, if he's inviting all of those people and you had a little chat with him, he should have mentioned it to you. The same thing's going to happen. They're going to keep you at a distance because they're all afraid.
Well, I'll ask him. I'll send him a quick message now. Am I invited tomorrow? We'll see what he says.
There you go.
We're going back to high school.
Yeah, am I one of the cool kids?
Oh, smoking behind the bike shed.
Yeah, that was me. I heard you asking the pre-show. You were like, were you a nerd at school? No, I wasn't a nerd at school. I was a kid jumping from school to school. That's the kid I was. I was off smoking and behind the bike sheds and doing that. But as for being a drama major...
They called you a theatre nerd.
I was, after the fact. That was the only thing that was easy because it didn't involve any bookwork. So I actually did quite well in it. That is to say, my attendance at school was very poor, but in spite of my poor attendance, I still got an exceptionally good grade in performing arts. So I'm like, oh, well, as I've got an A star and being commended by the mayor of Stratford, I'm like, maybe I should do something with this. I had no intention of being that until, like I say, I was being awarded a outstanding achievement in drama by the mayor of Stratford-upon-Avon, Shakespeare's country. You know, you're like, oh, okay, that seems like a logical thing to step into and do in college. So that's why I did it. But it wasn't because I'd particularly been geeky and worked my way towards audio-visual stuff. Not at all. Far from it. My interest in that
Pacing skirts.
only came as a result of doing performing arts and getting sick of lovies. That's the nerds, as you're describing them, really got on my nerves. A lot of them were homosexual. Not that I had anything against them being homosexual. It just meant that they were very camp and very lively and very over the top, and it got very grating very quickly. So I transitioned to a technical theatre side of the course because it was the only place I could pivot to. So suddenly I became an AV nerd, whereas in high school I absolutely wasn't that kid.
I took TV production. I liked it. I took it just so I didn't have to do bookwork. You're right. Sports and TV production, which I actually loved that class.
I just switched off when I had class and sports. But now I would skive off and go to town when there was a sports lesson. But anyway, I was not a dropout. I was actually academically quite gifted in terms of what I did at school because I didn't try and I still succeeded, which to me says I was okay in that regard. If I'd have tried, I'd have probably done very, very well. But I wasn't interested in trying particular. I was more interested in girls and smoking and drinking and all the things that teenage kids did. Go out to clubs and pubs because I could get into them at about 15, 14 years of old because I was 6'2" very early. So I could go to pubs and clubs and party. Soon as I got exposed to girls after puberty, that was it. You think I was interested in GCSEs or drama? No. But when I was like, there's a lot of girls in that drama class. That's appealing. So, yeah.
I went to school to hang out.
I had loads of different schooling experiences. So we're talking about this, but we are. I don't care, to me. So everyone loves talking about themselves. My initial entrance into high school was in a school that was 99.9% Muslim. So I was one in. There was another kid called Nathan who was black, and that was it. There was a couple of other white kids that left almost immediately after the term started. But from there, I went from a massive, predominantly Muslim school to a private school that was like 5 kids in a class in the entire year. So it went from that to that school closing to me then going to a school in Stratford-upon-Avon that was just a regular high school and being a bit of an outcast as the perceived to be posh kid from the private school that had closed down. So, you know, I had lots of different high schools. There we go. Anyway, not that
you called white Nathan and was he called black Nathan?
Well, no, we just weren't called anything because most of them were talking in Gujarati or whatever. So, no, we weren't addressed as anything because we weren't spoken to because we didn't speak Hindi. I would talk to him.
Untouchables.
There were other white kids. I mean, I'm exaggerating to a certain degree. It's just most of them left. One of them was called Adam, who was a kid that I went to my primary school with, and he ended up at the same secondary school along with Black Nathan. But like I say, that's why people might perceive me sometimes as being quite racist. And I am. And it's because I grew up in the majority as a white kid in a Muslim area. So I can make light of it. In other words, like then, I'm not really racist. In other words, I have no prejudice against anybody at all in like, as an individual. I basically hate all of them combined. You know, I've got nothing against you as a Spanish more than a French. You know, I hate both of you the same.
Equal opportunity hate.
Exactly. But I can make light of it is the point. And it's mainly because I grew up in a minority. And I see that humour from the black minority Americans. That is to say, they've got a similar sort of twisted sense of humour about their being in the minority that I had when I was in the white minority. So it's weird that I can empathise and relate to a black guy in the States when he talks about being in the minority, if I could get my terms correct. You're like, yeah, I can totally relate to that. And joke along, and it's even more funny because I'm white, right? And I can empathise with it even better because me and Black Nathan from high school talked on the exact same level about being in the minority. He was no more or less in the minority than I was.
They didn't really start pushing political correctness like that until the 90s, a little bit.
Exactly. So in the 80s, it was a different kettle of fish, wasn't it? That's when I was in school. Well, wasn't that fun? Totally off topic. How long have we been babbling on about this nonsense about me in high school? Too long. I'm sure people don't want to hear it. I was getting told off by one of my members for mic
lack
talk.
of globe proof, you know.
Well, yeah, exactly. People want to hear globe proof, right? So I've already got through that and talked about Earth being measured flat for the globe belief that people on the opposing side may put to you in argumentation terms. I did it yesterday when talking about Nathan Thompson. So occasionally having a little bit of self-indulgence and talking about yourself. I'm sure people don't mind that much, right? Yeah, Nathan, we all love hearing about you. You see, I thought so. Right, should we get a bit of housekeeping out of the way? Quarter of an hour into the show.
Oh.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve.
Refraction.
No.
Refraction debunks the assertion of a geometric horizon. You appreciate that, right?
Refraction.
It's refracted, it's not geometric.
Refraction.
Okay, well, welcome to Flat Earth. Refraction, you say? So no geometric, physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve then? Just refraction. Yeah, that's not Earth curve, not physical, not geometric, bye-bye Earth curve. Refraction debunks the claim. These idiots who say it from the globe side haven't appreciated it in 5 straight years of the argument being out there. Go ahead, Endless.
I was just saying you're going to need a horizontal plane to even make the claim.
Am I hearing you correctly? You're saying you'll need a horizontal plane to describe refraction or Earth curve?
Earth curve.
Well, true of refraction also. I thought you were being super smart.
Yeah. That too, yes.
You'll need a flat Earth to describe refraction
geometric
also.
Considerations.
Well, refraction itself, when you talk about Snell's law, you're talking about planes of reference when you're describing boundary layers, aren't you? If you're describing them with respect to a planar surface.
Angles of incidence and...
Do you hear me, Endless? Go ahead.
You're into
Oh, sorry.
You're worse than me.
Just mumbling about angles of incidence and,
Exactly.
rays, all that nonsense.
Yeah, all roads lead to a flat Earth. At some point, doesn't matter what you're talking about, you'll need a plane of reference. If you're dealing with reality, that is, if you're dealing with things that you actually observe and physically encounter in everyday life, as opposed to orthographic views on paper. Mathematics of Earth curve, that is. Any evidence you can have? Pitch data on a globe.
Why would you need it? You just fly in your plane. Why would you even consider it?
You wouldn't. It's a very good point. When you deal with the pitch data, it's reference to a plane, describing how your angle is with respect to a horizontal. That's what you're dealing with. There is no reference to a ball. Why would you need to? You don't, you wouldn't, you aren't. Good point.
Thanks.
Last but no means by least, any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
That's just not going to be an angle at all.
And it's not an angle.
Notice nobody jumped on your back when you said you admired the heliocentric model. Endless. Nobody
Very
gave you any
elegant.
shtick for that whatsoever.
No. We all do. It's elegant. We've said that before.
I've
It's
said
not
that
some
before.
ragtag system. It's very elegant.
Yeah, that's what I say. And typically people get all over me like I'm some sort of shill for the globe when I suggest that utilization of flat plane derivations into curved orbital motion around an ecliptic plane or whatever it is you're describing with Copernican heliocentric motion is quite eloquent to behold. How the out-of-the-box mathematics, incapable of reification, has come to fruition to describe is quite elegant. Doesn't mean I think we're on a ball.
The fact that you can coherently, to some degree, it's like usually like in narrow aspects, coherently apply the flat Earth data to a sphere. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that it has implications about what the data is.
Yeah, but the more you learn about it, the more difficult it is to reify. The less you know about heliocentrism, the easier it is to reify into the existence you believe the world actually is. So if you know very little about heliocentrism, you can go, oh yeah, of course we're standing on a ball. Yeah, your ignorance allows you to believe that. The more you learn about how the balls come to fruition and how the Earth was measured to create that ball, the less likely you are to be able to conceptualize it as though you're standing on the surface of a ball. You can't, because the measurements come from within.
It's not curved.
Good.
Once you know it's not curved, then it really just puts the kibosh on that whole idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, Nathan, the more you know about heliocentrism, it's harder to believe it, correct? That's what you're saying?
No, it's not harder to believe, it's harder to reify it. That is to say, on screen now for my audience, I've got an angle of elevation coming from the equatorial plane. So that's a description of an angle that's capable of measurement off Earth's surface that's being described from within a ball. Now, when you know that that angle capable of measurement on Earth's surface is described in heliocentric terms in a ball, you're then one step further away from going, oh, I understand how I can take that measurement from Earth's surface described from within a ball and plot it out to the outside edge of the surface I created mathematically with those measurements, described as the square. I'll just point at it so my audience know what I'm talking about, this bit. Yeah? Well, that isn't so easy to reify when you know where the measurements have come from. So you can go, wow, that's clever, how they've made the angle in a ball plot up to the top surface that you're not standing on when you measured the surface in the ball. So how are you then supposed to reify that into a surface you're standing on the outside edge of this ball on screen now, if you know how functionally it was measured on the flat plane? You can't reify it into an actual surface to stand on anymore. It becomes that much more difficult when you understand how the maths creates the ball in the first place. Make sense, Roger?
Absolutely not, but yes, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense to actually create an imaginary ball and then subscribe orbital motion to it. No, it doesn't make any sense at all. And what's the cause of their motion in this heliocentric model?
What's the cause of the motion? They don't ascribe cause, they're just mathematically describing heliocentric motion with respect to the ball you measured inside the projected plane that you're not standing on the outside of a ball if it's a protractor. But that point moves around the sun, doesn't it? Based on the sun's movement around us by perception.
On their model.
In a model.
Claimed causes everything exploded at one point 14 billion years ago.
Hold on, I think Roger had something else. Go ahead, Roger.
Oh, no, I was just saying that I don't think they have an actual cause. They subscribe gravity to its beginning, but what keeps it in motion to this point in time?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, you're correct. Gravity's their god. Yes. Go ahead, Endless.
So the Big Bang, the claim is everything exploded. That's the origin of all the motion.
Yeah, and then gravitational accretion in old-fashioned gravitational terms. Superseded by Bent space-time.
Supposedly everything's still moving from the Big Bang.
Yeah, everything's expanding out from the Big Bang origination. Yes, according to their rhetoric. Fascinating stuff.
On their model.
Not a model. It's just
That
maths.
wasn't me, sir.
Maths. Anyway, that's it. We've done housekeeping. Go ahead, whoever that was. Feel free.
I was just going to say it's just an unsubstantiated claim based on another unsubstantiated claim of redshift.
Exactly.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, well, it's Lemaitre
What's up,
rhetoric
Phil?
for the Big Bang specifically, isn't it? Lemaitre came up with that.
Certain stars were more red than they're supposed to be. And so that means they're moving away. And that means if you wind the clock backwards, everything was coming from a single point. Ipso
Yeah.
facto.
Yeah,
Bang.
heliocentrists have an apology of have a way of taking something that someone's moaning about and turning it into an apologetic. So if you take Brahe saying that based on Kepler and the scale would have to be leaving the stars, the lights as absolutely enormous as an objection, you just turn that phraseology of objection into a statement of truth. Well, it'd have to be enormous. You just turn the objection into a matter of fact.
It's just this series of nested if statements. If this, then that. And that's why they're stuck making absurd claims, because they started from an absurd starting point.
Exactly. And what's an if and then statement in scientific terminology?
A cause and effect.
Hypothesis.
A hypothesis for cause and effect. Exactly, both right. So your suppositional cause and effect statement is an if and then statement. Well, if you can take a suppositional if and then statement and turn it into a statement of fact, if this, then that, ignoring the null, offering the empiricism in the method, then you've just got a statement of fact. Yeah? In science, you're varying and manipulating something you guess might cause the effect you're studying, but you haven't varied it yet when you make your if and then statement. If A, then B. But in science, you've got a null, a zero difference result, which is to say the opposite predictions also alongside it. So if A, not B, and you then have to vary A to see if it does or does not cause B. But if you just ignore the null, and instead of if A, then B, suppositional in nature, you say if A, then B. Like, well, if we were in heliocentric orbital motion, the lights would have to be enormous. So you then go, well, we're in heliocentric motion because we assume we are, so the lights are enormous. Yeah, that's how it works. Hijack science, say that that's a hypothesis, and Bob's your uncle. People think it's proven.
So what
Can't be
experiment did
expecting
they
them
do to prove this? That's what I want to know.
They don't. It's a category error
okay.
to us.
Can't.
Most of the stuff dealt with in heliocentrism is in a category error if you're to attempt to put it through the scientific method.
They just can't. They literally can't for any of their cosmology.
But their cosmology is not necessarily based on phenomena occurring for there to be a need to put it through the scientific method. Most of it is just statements of what is based on what they say it is and nothing more. It's not like they're saying what causes this to happen, let's put it through the method. They just come up with a just so story and lay it out for you.
If the ground is curved, if, Big Bang.
Yeah, gravity, same thing. It's like they're apologising for holes in their rhetoric that don't make any sense. Now,
The Big Bang is also not an explanation of a cause.
You can't possibly ascribe it though, because unless you can rewind entropy to the beginning of time, there's no way to validate their supposed cause. So they're just so stories as good as they've got.
Yep. My first time here. I like your work, Nathan. Keep it up.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's good to have you.
Yeah, it's nice watching the shorts. I don't know if you knows the strangers freaking out with the globe.
Oh,
Revelation.
you mean the Omi videos? Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the book writing. I've been writing a book, so I've done a considerable amount less of them and sort of sacrificed that revenue stream.
Okay.
That's the only reason I was doing that for money. I'm so greedy. I'm not. But yeah, that revenue stream dried up because I've been writing a book, but glad that that's brought somebody here. I'm really pleased to hear it. Those Omi videos are obviously more influential than perhaps I realised. Brilliant.
They
we do
were
have a
great,
video.
Great ones to share. I posted them around lots of Discords and stuff.
I noticed Fisherman in a Box likes using one of them where I'm talking to somebody and explaining that they're in a religion of heliocentrism. He, for whatever reason, has liked that sentiment when it's put to a random stranger on Omi, and he uses it in a lot of his videos as the outro for his clips and stuff. Shout out to you, Fisherman in a Box. So yeah, people like the Omi videos. I really wish I had enough time to continue doing them. And once the book's done, I will. That would be my intention. I'll go back on Omi, along with doing the circuit promoting the book. But it'll mean I'm freed up to doing that. That we will be doing tonight as well, in case anybody's wondering. I was watching this Mike guy, Mike Yoshimatsu or whatever he's called, some Mike Ninja, I think he goes by. Anyway, he's reviewing microphones and talking about a book that he's writing, and he's like, never ever mention that you're writing a book if you haven't finished it. That's a very bad idea. And I was like, I remember Brian's Logic saying that to me. And I ignored him. What an idiot I am. He was absolutely right. I should have listened to Brian.
Pretty much applies to any big project. Don't tell people what you're doing. Not till it's done.
Well, it's drummed up the excitement level. So, yeah. It's good in a way because people are like keen for it to be coming out, and it is. It's fairly imminent now. So anyway, right, we do have a video to cover today, so I'm going to put a link to this particular videographer's video that we'll be covering, so you can let them know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite YouTube-friendly comment that won't immediately get eradicated by the YouTube censor bots or the videographer themselves. So there is a link to this video, which is Flat Earth ? Society is rejecting science and reality, says Tomorrow's World YouTube videographer. So please let Tomorrow's World know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. I'm not just putting that link in the YouTube live stream chat for the sake of it. I do actually intend for you, 100 people watching, just under, to pop yourself along to this person's video, help them along in the YouTube algorithm. And the idea being that, obviously, if they were to make a response to us, they'd do the same for me. Put a link to my video in their video. Hopefully help us along where Congress has decried YouTube's use of flat earth material in any way, shape or form, leading to our complete censorship. So my audience of 100 is only here because people are good enough to share the show, and hopefully if they were to do a response, they'd do the same for me. Go ahead, whoever's got their mic wide open. Roger.
That was me. I was going to say, they use that magic word in the title.
Yeah, science. Right, we'll crack on. Hopefully a few of you will actually pop along to this videographer and let them know I sent you. Like I say, so that they could hopefully do the same if they were to respond to response to them. We'll see how we get on. So let's crack on.
Normally soft-spoken NDP leader taking on protesters.
Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings.
I don't know if this is music that he's going to get copywritten for, but I'm not going to take the risk, so I'm just going to spin on because I can't be bothered clipping this out if it is copywritten.
Expressing concerns about a growing tendency in society to reject observable fact and embrace ideas which are seemingly at odds with accepted reality.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, there's plenty of people who will disregard flat Earth measurements in favour of bending baselines that they've measured to believe in a ball. It's amazing, really. We completely agree. Wow, I didn't expect this to be the case.
I like how he puts it already, that it's a concern. Yeah, it's a concern, because that's literally reality. People don't concern themselves with people talking shit about things that don't exist. That's why you're concerned about us.
There are concepts of life developing spontaneously from non-living matter, new notions of gender, or long-accepted recorded history being supplanted with ideas that are now deemed new reality and called politically correct.
I mean, that's nothing to do with us here. We just lean on the measurements of Earth. There's very little ambiguity left when we get involved with the subject matter of Earth and the nature thereof. It's measured flat. In case you or any of your audience are unaware, Earth's measured flat. Take me to any Earth measurement, it will be flat.
Some resent the now ever-present intimidation to conform to new dogmas, the attack on long-standing morals and societal standards which seem to be turning their world upside down, and they seek understandings in which they can take comfort and stability.
What was that word salad all about? What's he babbling about? I didn't feel like any of that related to me. I don't care about what society are doing. Is he talking about because there's a transgender agenda currently? I couldn't give a crap. Live and let live. Do what you like. Don't care. Why is he ascribing that to me?
It almost sounds like he's on his way to saying this is about a lack of trust. We've heard that before.
In so doing, there is at times a tendency not only to reject new disconcerting ideas, but to reject all that society has learned, including much within long-established science.
Wow, that's an all-or-nothing fallacy, isn't it? Wow, you're using fallacious reasoning already, sir. That's a bit of a disappointment. Oh well.
This situation has given rise to a new phenomenon. Some think flat Earth ideas have been around from ancient times, but a careful study of history shows that this is not the case.
Sorry, did you commit this study? Because Earth has always been measured flat. There is no exception to that fact. But you're alluding to the idea that, going back in time, it wasn't regarded as flat? Who gives a crap how it's regarded? It's always been measured flat.
While very early societies may have developed some notions about a flat Earth,
Oh, that craps all over your last statement then, doesn't it? Self-contradictory much? Yeah, chocolate.
No, I was going to say the same thing. So he just debunked his last statement immediately.
there were models of a spherical Earth developed once empirical measures began to be taken.
So what empirical measurements were they? They're just measurements. You don't need to zhuzh it up with the word empirical. You're just measuring stuff. Yeah? You can regard it after the fact and declare it as being empirical because you've measured it, if you will. But it sounds like you're just sexing up these measurements. They're just measurements. Yeah, fine, call them empirical if you like. But what are they? Oh, the measurements you're referring to, you won't actually evidence this at all because you can't, will be flat.
In the very early days of man's history.
And show us your model. You're saying early models of sphericity after the empirical measurements? Show them. Show us a spherical measurement of any description whatsoever. You won't, you can't, there aren't. They'll all be flat. And as for you showing a model, we've been here 10 years, no one showed us a model of a globe Earth. None. There isn't one. You all talk about there being a model, like there is one. Where is it? Why isn't it on screen? This is not his model. He won't show it, there isn't one.
Mathematicians working for Ptolemy II around 300 BC actually made a reasonable estimate of the circumference of the Earth.
But the circumference of Earth in kilometres would be a linear distance, so that's a non sequitur and contradiction in terms of your description. What are you talking about?
Really, at
I
no
heard estimate, not measurement.
Yeah, estimate. Okay. Where are you going to get those estimates from? Are you going to take linear distances? You're going to take angle measurements to the stars? What are you going to use to measure? What's your yardstick? Is it a curved yardstick? I'm thinking no.
time in the Middle Ages or in the early days of exploration did
Well, they explored Earth with a flat plane as a reference to the star angles that they utilised in all regards. You obviously haven't studied this at all, old man. You're just babbling nonsense because you're talking about exploration. What, with respect to planes and angles to stars, measured with sextants? Those are all flat Earth measurements. You're going to decry those flat Earth measurements. You're going to piss me off real quick.
Western societies believe in a flat Earth. That they did so is largely a myth.
Sorry, a myth or a measurement of star angles off a flat plane? A fact that you cannot debunk? It's not a myth. Why are you babbling your nonsense? You are going to piss me off real quick.
The actual modern flat Earth theory...
It's not a theory. You'd in a category area. Theory would come after scientific experimentation based on demonstrable proof beyond the suppositional hypothesis construction after observing a natural phenomena to study. This is not that. It's not theory. What Earth is measured with is what will dictate Earth, if you're going to describe empiricism as you have, by zhuzhing up your measurement. Yeah, the empiricism is that Earth is measured flat with angles, linear distances, and so forth.
Was a product of a man named Samuel Robotham.
No, it wasn't. You're just a clown.
Who led a commune in Britain in the 1830s.
Do you think people weren't navigating with angles to stars prior to Robotham, you complete clown? Now I'm just going to start insulting you for your lack of experience or research. If you think Robotham is the origination of flat Earth angle measurements to the stars? No, I'm going to go with no, definitely not.
And reacted against
poisoning the well too.
I think he's forgetting about the Greeks 2,000 years ago, because that's what they did. Measured angle measurements to the sun, using vertical poles and horizontal shadows.
Did Eratosthenes predate Robotham? I'm going to go yes. According to their own stupid stories, they've got a man measuring elevation angles to the sun in Ceyhan. So I'm going to go with that predates Robotham, and it's a flat Earth elevation angle measurement of the sun. So no, we're measuring Earth flat long before Robotham. You just haven't done any research, have you? Yeah, you'd think being a bit older, this man would have done a bit more primary-based research, primary source. No, just a quick wiki search says that Robotham talked about flat Earth, therefore he was the originator. No, we measure Earth flat with elevation angles and always have. That's a fact. Debunk it. Are you going to get curve angles to stars? I'm thinking no. Go ahead.
Nathan, didn't he say exploration earlier?
Yes, that's the word he used, yes.
Well, didn't Clark and Cook do exploration and came up with a different theory about the Earth? Pretty sure they did.
I'm pretty sure they'll be using elevation angle measurements of a flat baseline.
Clark, he determined it wasn't a globe, from what I understood.
I don't know about their backstory. What I do know is all navigation on all flat maps by way of the stars is always going to be with respect to angles. That's the system that we use to this day. Latitude.
It was using marine sextants on the journeys, which would involve using sea level to obtain an elevation angle to the stars. To pinpoint your position on the surface of Earth. Yeah, sea level. How bizarre.
Maybe this guy thinks that before Robotham there was no reference to sea level. What an utter fool this old man is. No, my friend, we had sea level before Robotham. We were referencing elevation angle measurements with respect to sea level long before 1816. Yeah? I mean, I've given you an example of Eratosthenes measuring elevation angles now, haven't I? Now, we don't necessarily have the primary source research to back your garbage story about men measuring Earth flat long before Robotham, but I'll just lean on that nonetheless, because it's an example that you'd have to accept. If you want to believe your stupid nonsense backstories about being on a globe, you'll have to accept the measurement of a flat Earth elevation angle by Eratosthenes now, won't you? That predates Robotham, which makes you a clown.
Against the rapid scientific development of the...
This is not science. You're in a category error. Science establishes the cause of naturally occurring phenomena. That's physics. The study of the physical and natural world. Natural science. This is not that.
Age.
If you want to make a full-time income from...
I was just saying,
go ahead.
It makes me laugh when he says scientific development. You know, when the scientific method is proving something correct or incorrect. It's not developing and changing. It's going to prove it correct or incorrect. It's not a development.
Yeah, it proves the cause of an effect. If you suppose the cause, validate it by way of systematic experimentation, then that's what science can offer. This guy's just in a category error.
Flat disk with an ice wall around its periphery, and what we think of as the North Pole at the center of the disk, all covered in a hard crystal dome.
This is a stereotyping fallacy. I don't make this claim. Far from it.
In their theory, the dome rises to...
Not only is it not a frickin' theory, it's not my theory in your stereotype fallacy, right? I don't assert this crap.
To a maximum of 5,500 kilometers above...
This becomes your claim. Because my name's Nathan Oakley, I'm a flat earther, I don't claim this. Therefore, this is his claim. You're claiming it then. You're asserting it, because I'm not accepting this garbage. Whenever any opponent comes here and starts telling me about how flat earthers think there's a dome, I very quickly turn it into their claim, because they're the one saying it. And when they say, no, you say it, and I go, give me a quote, they can't. And then I say, well, who's saying it? there's only one person saying it, you numpty clown. The one suggesting we've got a crystal dome over our heads. Now, we're definitely under containment. We're under gas pressure to be breathing. That gas pressure must have containment. But as for what the containment is, I have no way of knowing. No hard crystal dome assertions coming from me. No ice wall coming from me. Now, as for the North Pole, yeah, that's an absolute direction that we can and do use. There's a polar-centric system measured on a flat Earth that's utilised in mapping. Maybe you were unaware of a compass.
The disk surface, and the sun and the moon are both light sources that are about 50 kilometers in diameter.
No, the only people who assert this are idiot shills like Dave Weiss. I mean, maybe I'll get to tell that to his face if I get an invite to the round table of OG flat earthers. I'm one of them. I was here before Dave Weiss, just to make it absolutely clear in case I don't get an invite to Mark's little session, so I can tell Dave what a clown he is. The reason we're being strawman with this crap is because of Dave and his shitty app that he's bled people dry for money, that made us all look incredibly stupid recently. Maybe I'll get to bleat about how stupid and idiotic Dave is when he ignores science. Yeah, maybe I'll get to bleat about how idiotic it is to have this crap on an app, so idiots like this old dude can strawman us when we don't ascribe ourselves to this crap, because we just don't know. Dave, on the other hand, can monetize it at everyone else's detriment and cause a, quote, mass exodus.
And circle the disk of the Earth.
Nah, we're not asserting that. It's just Dave Weiss's stupid nonsense model in his app that he flogs.
It appears that the majority of those who take this belief...
Is this your stereotype fallacy in continuation? I don't take this belief. Now, there are individuals I can put you in touch with. Dave Weiss's name is. He's a guy who likes fleecing people for money on apps, for shite that doesn't make any sense and is absolutely debunked. Now, Dave already knew it was debunked. He didn't care when he sold it to people. Now, I might get to moan about that fact with another fellow flat earther like myself who has put this across into the public domain so you can take it apart and burn it. But I don't believe this crap. Yeah, I've got a lot to say about people who say
very seriously, do in fact have strong religious views, and are generally those who interpret the words and phrases of the Bible text.
That's another stereotyping fallacy. When I say Earth's measured flat with an elevation angle measurement using a sextant and reference your Aristophanes angle measurement off a flat plane to the sun, is that me referencing biblical text by stereotyping fallacy? No, sir, how dare you? Shall I start talking about how impotent old men generally are? Would that be unfair? I'm going to go with, yeah, you wouldn't object too much if I started talking. Generally speaking, old men can't get it up. Generally speaking, they're quite impotent. Unreasonable much? Oh, you wouldn't like that? No, I don't like you stereotyping me as being some religious fanatic who talks about having a crystalline dome above my head. Now, that's very objectionable.
Literally. Many of those who are of this persuasion are relatively young, some reasonably well educated, and are reacting to what they feel is a lot of...
You have no idea what you are generalising and stereotyping people with. Why is this statement continuing? It's an absolute outrage. Now, while I could unreasonably start stereotyping this old man in terms of what he can't do, I won't. Technically, I have, haven't I, by saying I won't. But nevertheless, it's unreasonable to stereotype me in this crap. I'm not young.
False information being fed to them.
What false information? I'm the one giving out information. I'm saying Earth's measured flat with an elevation angle and exampling it, and then pointing out that your burning of a straw man has come from a man called Dave Weiss. Yeah? Now you want to burn him. Metaphorically, his argument, not him. That came out wrong. I don't want people to burn Dave Weiss. That's not what I mean. Good timing. As I talk about burning Dave Weiss accidentally. Hello, QE.
I was getting the torch ready, Nathan. Dang it.
No. Don't take that the wrong way.
What?
I accidentally said you can burn Dave Weiss, meaning his argument. The straw man that's being burned. I'm just mixing up my metaphors. Don't worry about it.
Some of it in the name of science. While I understand and sympathize with much of the frustration with our present media and the promotion of ideas that are clearly not representative of reality.
Again, this is more word salad. Meaningless word salad.
As a person who has a science degree in geographic information systems...
Geographic systems isn't science, sir. What are you talking about? Oh, are you going to lean on some education you had because they told you it was science? Oh, you're a bit old to be hearing this. I hate to disappoint you at such a late period of your life. You're not a scientist.
I struggle to understand how such ideas can be viewed seriously.
Because of crap. If you're a scientist, you'd be dealing in cause and effect relationships now, wouldn't you? You'd be dealing with science and the scientific method. You're not. Who gives a crap?
In my earlier days, I had opportunity to work and do research with Landsat 1 and 2 Earth Resources satellites.
Oh, so you're invested in junk in a sky vacuum. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Again, old dog, you're not going to like this. New trick time. Second law of thermodynamics violation. You see this black area here? What's that? Is that a 10 to the minus 17 Torr sky vacuum in your mind? Well, as a scientist, you'd understand that violates the second law of thermodynamics now, doesn't it? If this area was a 10 to the minus 17 Torr sky vacuum, where this junk you think you were following was residing, then the gas we're all breathing down here on the area of land that you're currently residing on, breathing high-pressure gas, would vacate into this 10 to the minus 17 Torr sky vacuum instantaneously. Furthermore, we'd have never developed gas pressure in the first place if the sky was a vacuum. The first particle of gas would have come out of the ground, vacated into the vacuum, never to return. We'd never develop gas pressure if there was an area for you to study this hunk of junk in a place that doesn't exist. That would be a sky vacuum you think is called space. There is no such place for satellites to reside in. You were lied to. Yeah? It's a violation of natural law. You'd know that, wouldn't you, being a scientist and all?
Which certainly appeared to me.
What you want, baby?
Fairly artificially inflate the relative performance.
They're the normally
may have developed some notions of strong religious views to Earth Resources satellites, which certainly appeared to me to be in circumpolar orbit around a spherical.
Orbits? What's that? Where are you going to get your flat plane of reference to describe the elevation angle measurements to the stars that have been inferred to get to the orbits by Kepler and Huygens? Yeah, you'll need a flat plane of reference to describe the elevation angle measurements in actual reference to the ground that you measured them from. Orbits relies on Earth being flat, measured as such. Can't have an orbit unless you've got a flat plane to describe it from. It was on screen earlier, wasn't it? Me appealing to the audience about how I can't reify a ball when I understand how orbital motion comes from within a ball on a flat plane. Yeah, I'm going to struggle to fantasize about me being in hell. Yeah, from a Christian religious point of view that you want to tar me with. No, metaphorically, I'm not going to be in hell on a plane measuring angles to describe orbits. Yeah? What are you talking about? I hear the audience cry. Look at anybody's depiction of orbital motion. The line that the globe Earth travelling around the sun in that stupid idea is depicted runs through the centre of the globe Earth. Why? Well, because it's described from the middle of the globe Earth. On that trajectory we call an orbit. Well, how are we actually measuring reference to the ground and the stars that we're describing? Oh, we're measuring on the equatorial plane at the vernal equinox. That's the only place it'll ever work in time terms. But we're on a flat plane when we do it, when we're measuring the angles. Yeah? We'll need a flat Earth for orbits. So don't appeal to this nonsense that has an apologetic with a sky vacuum that can't exist because it violates natural law. This is all garbage and needs a flat Earth.
Earth. However, many flat earthers, especially
stereotype fallacy number 3 to come,
those of a religious persuasion, are very sincere in their belief.
Sorry, what belief have I expressed thus far? Been dealing with this for 10, 15 minutes maybe? Did I express any beliefs whatsoever? Anybody care to tell me what beliefs I expressed when I described Aristophanes measuring an elevation angle measurement to the sun? Perhaps the mariners that use sextants to measure elevation angles to stars when navigating and exploring. Was that my belief? I'm going to go with absolutely not. Your stereotype fallacy fails miserably. It's not my belief. No, you're just wrong, sir. No, these are measurements of Earth flat. None of them are beliefs. You have beliefs. You believe when describing an orbital motion from the centre of Earth on a plane, that means you can stand on the outside edge of a sphere that you've reified based on those flat Earth measurements. That's a belief. Your belief. Your stupid, idiotic belief that requires you to believe in second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuums. Yeah?
How is it that they can hold such a position, and what is it they see in the Bible that gives them the support for this notion? I must admit,
I can't answer your question because I'm not utilising that. It's your stereotype that you're burning. How am I supposed to address it when it doesn't apply to me? Yeah? What can I do? Can I give you an answer to your stereotype that you're trying to burn by way of straw man fallacy? I can't address this, can I, sir? What am I supposed to do with that crap beyond tell you that I don't do that and I tell you Earth's measured flat?
that I am a Christian and a Bible reader, but to me the Bible supports a spherical Earth.
Oh, really? Oh, so this is projection then. What you actually mean is you use the Bible to make your claim of it being spherical. I doubt very much you'll give us any substantive evidence for that. We'll see how you get on. Let's see if he actually substantiates that with a Bible quote.
What did he just say?
He said he's a Christian and he believes the Bible suggests Earth's a sphere. That's what he's just said. Let's see if he
Is he going to give
substantiates
us
it.
any scripture?
We'll see.
And one that is moving about the sun in a solar system.
Yeah, that's a Keplerian orbital motion. Useful, given that I just explained how if you ever have a description visually of an orbital motion, you'll notice that this line runs through the centre of this claimed to be globe-shaped planet. Yeah, it's not measured with respect to the surface, is it now? Oh, what about this one? Oh, no, it goes through the middle as well. Why? Well, because we'll be utilising a plane of reference when we describe orbital motion. We're not on any spherical surfaces when we describe this. No. The line's going through hell, isn't it? Yeah, that's because this is all described with respect to a plane of reference. They all actually have identical planes of reference when you describe any of the planets in their orbital motion. They're all with respect to a plane of reference. But if you look at Earth, the fact remains that you're having to describe it from the centre of Earth in hell on a plane, so that you can back-engineer the flat Earth angle measurements into this motion. In hell, not on the surface. It's back to in the pre-show when talking to Roger, and he's like, what do you mean you can't or struggle to reify ball Earth logic into actually being standing on a surface? Well, when you understand how orbital motion works in this regard, you can see that you're not standing on the surface when describing the motion. The line goes through hell.
As per the models that are now well established in astrogeology.
Are they? Show us one. We've been here 10 years, we've never been given one. Ever.
He stretches out the north over the void and hangs the earth on nothing.
Right, Christians, what's your response?
First of all, they generally believe that
stereotype fallacy number 4 to come.
The early church taught that the structure of the earth was disc-like. However,
no, they measured Earth flat with elevation angles. Kepler, Huygens, Copernicus. We tell the story of how they utilised those measurements and turned them into orbital motion. I just explained how that flat Earth elevation angle measurement would lead to an equatorial plane running through the centre of Earth in the orbital motion you had on screen. That wasn't on the surface of a spherical Earth, was it? It traversed the centre in your own bloody diagram. So no, I'm going to go with the church utilising a flat plane. They had to create orbital motions.
This is not the case from history.
No, that's right. The orbital motions are described with respect to the flat plane that's measured with angles to stars. Yeah? That's why your orbital motion's in hell. And the line that it's moving along, describing it mathematically, works not from on a sphere surface, but from within on a plane. Inside a globe. On a plane that's matching the angles you can actually measure, that you measure on the surface of Earth. Yeah, you can't be in a globe measuring those angles, but you can be on a flat plane as described in your globe motion that requires a flat plane to measure to get to that orbital motion on a plane in a globe that you can't be standing on.
As Dr. D. Faulkner points out in an article entitled, "Does the Bible Teach the Earth is Flat?"
Don't care. Earth's measured flat. Makes no difference to me if it's taught in the Bible or not. Fine if you want to point out that Earth's measured flat and then say, and it also says that in the Bible, good for you. But as for what Earth is, it's down to the measurements. They supersede everything. If that also...
Go
ahead.
You catch the name? Dr. D. Faulkner. Danny boy.
Danny Faulkner? Oh, really? That's who this was referenced to?
Yep.
Oh, well, we took apart Danny Faulkner. He's a friend of the show. Danny Faulkner, what? You can't have gas pressure without a container? Well, according to Danny Faulkner, you can. Because he went to a guy called Blue Bible Science who suggested you can have gas pressure without a container by presenting gas pressure in 3 containers. Yeah, this is a violation of natural law. Let's just reiterate it, because that's where Danny Faulkner failed, and his reference to Blue Marble Science's use of 3 containers isn't going to cut it when it comes to gas dispersion. Gas would fill this space. There is no sky vacuum or ball earth. The apologies of it, gravitational or otherwise, aren't going to overcome a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum that you need in your rhetoric. Danny Faulkner didn't overcome that either. It was further put to him by Nathan Thompson that he had absolutely nothing to say in regards to the requirement of a sky vacuum in your rhetoric. He told an audience of radio listeners that he had the answers. And when asked the question, how do you have gas pressure without a container, he had absolutely nothing to offer. Literally stony silence when asked that question by Nathan Thompson.
The medieval church did not teach that the earth was flat. Thomas Aquinas introduced Aristotelian thought into medieval church teaching. Aristotle clearly taught that the earth was spherical. Flat earth...
Oh, really? And what did he teach? Are you going to substantiate this stuff? Because we need to, take it apart and give you some flat earth measurements out of the back of your suggested claims of sphericity. You're not substantiating anything. What's the word? This is a baseless assertion fallacy if you don't actually back it.
Ideas are derived from a very...
Who gives a crap about his ideas when I'm offering measurements of a flat earth to compare and contrast with your baseless assertions that you don't substantiate with anything?
Literal interpretation of biblical terms, and a rejection of the notion that the Bible uses figurative language or idiomatic expressions in describing things. I will provide a few examples. The 4 corners of the earth. And gathered together the dispersed of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. Yet in truth, this does not support a flat earth, but rather it is an idiomatic expression meaning from all parts of the earth. Even Shakespeare uses the expression in the last act of his play King John.
Oh my God.
He has one of the lead characters state, "Come the 3 corners of the world in arms, and we shall shock them." This was written 10 years after Sir Francis Drake's circumnavigation of the world by sea.
That would have required flat earth elevation angle measurements to the stars. Use of the Polaris-based system of latitude. So we're going to be measuring a flat earth for this, sir. Are you not aware of this? I don't really understand why you wouldn't be alluding to the actual measurements. Seems stupid that you wouldn't actually suggest the reality of the situation.
I got one from Scripture for him.
Yeah, be my guest.
Revelation 20, verse 9. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, encompassed the camp of the saints about and beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. That word breadth, from Strong's Greek definition, G4114, platus, meaning flat. Thank you very much.
Have you got any others, just out of interest? Might as well pile a few in.
That's all he gets.
Oh, fair enough. I want to find my clip with Danny Faulkner. Find it. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong bit. Come amongst yourselves for just 30 seconds so I can find a clip. Danny being challenged by Nathan Thompson. Oh, I think I might have found
Somebody asked what caused the motion. Go ahead, I'll take over.
Go ahead.
Somebody asked, was it you, Roger, that asked in the beginning, what caused the motion? Remember you asked that? You still here? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Yeah, you said, well, what causes the motion? I would. I'm getting
What
an
causes
echo.
it? Oh, sorry, it's my headphones.
So you said what caused the motion? Well, according to them, after the Big Bang fiasco, the nebular hypothesis. There. That's their answer. Where all their fairy tale planets were birthed from the sun and spun out from it. Provided to you by Emanuel Swedenborg via Edmund Halley at Cambridge, way back in the day. Edwin Halley then pawned it off to Immanuel Kant and Laplace, who was supposed to do the math, but he didn't. And if he did the math, he'd have belly laughed everyone out of the room. But anyway, Emanuel Swedenborg, the gentleman that passed that on to Sir Edmund Halley of Halley's Comet fame, he got the story from talking with spirits from Venus, the Mars, the moon, and the sun. That's where that motion came from. We may have to go over that again someday here shortly.
Right, I think I may
Well,
have
how do I
found-
get a hold of these birds? That's what I want to know.
Okay, I think I found what I need to find. Hopefully this is what we're in need of. We'll play it through.
You can't have gas pressure in the midst of a vacuum without a solid container.
Yes. So yes, you're right. So if you have gas, it would expand into the vacuum, absolutely.
So do you know of any demonstrations of gas pressure in the middle of a vacuum without a solid barrier between the two?
No. The fact that planets move around, lots of evidence.
So I've been experimental evidence. So
That's experiment.
What's the independent variable in that experiment?
Okay, I mean, you can drop things in the vacuum.
Talking about an ideal gas expanding against a vacuum.
The vacuum is there's a zero medium, so everything's
You can
equally
drop,
more dense.
Objects.
Talking about an ideal gas expanding against a vacuum.
You just take a room, evacuate the air, and drop things, and then they all fall the same.
Gas expanding against a vacuum.
Is that demonstrable in any way?
I'm not sure.
Let's say if I have a pressurized shoebox inside of a vacuum, I poke a hole inside that shoebox. Is there any way to demonstrate air not going into the vacuum and staying inside the box?
I don't think so. I think you're absolutely right. If you poke a hole, it will go out. I know. I can't.
The second law of thermodynamics stipulates that you can't have a gas pressure system in the midst of a vacuum. Like a high pressure always goes to low pressure.
Yes, that's true. So it has pressure, and it just
goes out into the vacuum.
Yeah, I think people that first encounter flat Earth, they all say, "Well, I once believed that it was a stupid idea, but I tried to refute it and I couldn't." Well, that's because you didn't go to the right sources. You went on the internet and you heard these arguments from flat earthers that you couldn't answer.
Yeah.
That's because you didn't know the answers. I know the answers. I haven't encountered an argument yet I couldn't refute.
So how do you have gas pressure without a container? Nothing? Danny Faulkner, PhD astrophysicist.
Why doesn't Earth's gravity hold the air inside of the shoebox, which is in the midst of a vacuum?
because the gas has pressure. So it has pressure and it just
goes out into the vacuum.
Sorry, I need to go.
All right.
Coolio. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then unfortunately this is actually where we bid everyone farewell because we're going to be doing a bit of book editing. So a massive thank you to my Discord and Jeepers panels and to you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.